Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another beautiful day here. Today we got something special. We are back to our regularly scheduled program. We are going to be going over Season of Discovery. And with the newest announcement that Season of Discovery is coming out on the 11th of June, I just thought to give you some pointers on what you should do before Part 4 drops. Now, we are going to section out this video here. Now, first off, we're going to start it out with leveling alts or leveling a main character. Then we're going to go into pre-questing. Then we're going to go into all the different rep grinds that you need. All right, now to start it out here, we are going to talk about incursions. Now, incursions are pretty much being taken out of the game effectively, starting on the 11th of July. Blizzard specifically announced they're all going to become daily, so you will not be able to go ahead and grind those out anymore for your leveling 40 to 50 or your 25 to 35. So it's going to kind of suck, but if you get it done now, it is going to be much faster, as well as people are probably not going to be leveling as much in the dungeons, especially right when Phase 4 comes out, because, well, people are going to want to be doing the new content. They're going to be repping everything. They're going to be getting everything ready, and they're basically just going to be wrapping it up. So I'm going to leave a link in the description below and also right up here as to exactly how to do incursions, how to get them done effectively, and how to get them done fast. Now, the only change to what I said in that video is that you're going to be running Incursions in Ashenvale from level 40 to 50, as the aggro range and the potential parties and whatnot are not going to be as beneficial as Hinterlands or Feralis. So you are just going to go ahead and do that instead. Now, the raids actually aren't going to be available until 2 weeks later, which gives you perfectly enough time to level up, get a good leveling process, as well as being able to get all the reps that you need and doing everything like that. However, if you want to be ahead and you want to maybe level 2-3 alts, or maybe you don't have enough time when it does release and you want to try to stay ahead, or maybe you don't have time when it comes out or whatnot, and you want to get all your runes and all that kind of stuff. Next, we are going to go into your pre-questing. So I actually made a list right here, which is going to give you all of the pre-quests you have that are going to be in pretty good hubs. Now, I did do an insanely big and detailed one in Part 3. However, I'm not going to really do a super in-depth one for Part 4, just because there are 2 weeks to come out. You don't need a pre-quest, and it factually takes you 2 to 3 times longer pre-questing than it does to actually get these quests done when you are leveling. So there's that as well. We're going to just give a quick honorable mention to professions. Now, you do have your 2 professions that everyone can pick up, which is going to be your cooking and your tailoring. You want to make sure that you get these at least to 225, but you can bring them all the way up to 300 before the phase starts. You can also bring your main crafting profession or your main gathering professions. So that's mining, blacksmithing, herbalism, alchemy, tailoring, etc. to 300 as well. Now, there should be quests at 250 if I remember correctly, so you have that as well. All right, now getting into the reputations. First things first, you are going to go for the Argent Dawn. Now, the Argent Dawn, you start up in the Eastern Plague Lands. You are going to just run. If you have the flight path here, you are just going to run all the way through Altarak Mountains, and you're going to run right here. And you are going to get your trinket for that. I have an exact way of getting rep. You obviously need to be in a group, or even a raid team is totally fine, and you'll still be getting rep. And you're going to go to this log right here in the Eastern Plague Lands, and you don't even have to do any quests. You just have to make sure that you pick up the Argent Dawn trinket and just have that equipped. And you're going to basically have a mage run around, grab everything, bring it to the log, and everyone just AoEs all the mobs down and just runs down and resets them. And it's pretty simple from there. Now, one thing to keep in mind as well is that the minion score stones, you want to keep these, as they are going to help you get from honored to revered. Now, obviously, everyone's going to be doing Scholomance as well in P4, and you're going to be pretty much spamming that for some really good gear. So you might not be too keen on doing this right now. However, you know, at least getting to friendly is pretty beneficial. Now, if you do have Atlas loot, you can just filter it here by faction, and you can just go to Argent Dawn and friendly. Now, the reason that I got to friendly on this character is I have enriched mana biscuits. They are really good for drinking. Hopefully they have even better food in the next phase as well, because, well, I have a lot of mana and I do not really want to spend my entire time drinking. Now, if you are any other type of crafter, If you go to Honored, you have some pretty good tailoring boots, leatherworking boots, blacksmithing, first aid, and enchanting. These are really, really good. Now, all of these don't have the new values in them. Blizzard did specifically say that they are going to be upgrading all of the pieces and all of the values for them, so we don't really know where that stands right now. However, it is going to be getting an upgrade. Now, for Revered, you have some shoulders. Now, the tailoring shoulders from P3 are going to be better than this still, as well as the arcane mantles, because you have these shoulder enchants from Sunken Temple, so you don't really need to worry about that too much. Now, as for some of the gloves and the boots, I can't really tell you how those are going to be, but we really just have to wait and see how those go. Now, a very, very beneficial part to being Revered is that melee get Blessed Sunfruit. Now, the reason that you want Blessed Sunfruit is because these are going to replace squiddies in P4. If you are eating squids, which you probably are if you're a melee class, you are spending a ridiculous amount of money on these consumes. You are going to basically be putting, I don't know, 10, 15 hours in here on Argent Dawn rep, doing Skullomance, and you are going to be getting your Sunfruit. For now, however, you can just at least get honored and get ready for the next phase with that. The next one that we're going to go over here is Timber Maw Hold. Now, Timber Maw is a pretty good leatherworking one, decent for enchanting, and you can pretty much bring this all the way up to Exalted. Now, we'll have to see really just how these change again. The shoulder enchant's probably not going to be that good. However, the hands for leatherworking look decent. We're not really going to go over into why you would break up your tier piece for that yet. However, that's just something to keep in mind. Now, the Thorium Brotherhood is really, really good, especially for blacksmithing. Blacksmithing gives, I would say, some of the best gear for your plate wearers, and it's going to be really beneficial going into MC because a lot of it has fire resistance. You also have, some decent ones from enchanting and whatnot. Now, there is actually a cap on where we can get this right now. There is unfortunately a cap at Honored. You can't really go above that because you need a whole bunch of other things from the MC trash to increase your reputation further. So at least get it to Honored. It's a pretty easy grind. You need a boatload of iron bars and some Incendisaur scales, which are pretty easy to farm. And besides that, you just get your dark iron residue from just being in here. Next one here, we have the Cenarian Circle. Now, the Cenarian Circle is absolutely atrocious to be grinding. However, it does give some pretty good pre-raid biz. If you want to go ahead and do that, you can. There is some really, really good leatherworking stuff from here. There is some pretty good blacksmithing stuff, and there's a few tailoring pieces. At Honored, you get the Aqual Quintessence. Now, this is a douse on the Fire Lord, so you basically need at least probably 10, 15 people in your raid to actually have this to essentially douse when you are doing MC. Now, depending on how they change the mechanics of it, it really depends, but they probably will require pretty much everybody at the beginning to be getting this. Now, this is probably, if you grind nothing else, this is the one to grind. It probably takes 5 to 10 hours to do this, and it is really useful. Now, people are pretty much spamming all in LFG for this, so you want to definitely get on this before it is too late and no one is running it again. And that's pretty much all I got for you guys today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Peace out for now.